Hi, Sharks. My name's Kelly.
And I'm Christina. We're from San Francisco, California, and today we're seeking $200,000 in exchange for 10% equity of our company, Yardsale.
Sharks, if you've ever skied, you probably agree with us. Ski poles kind of suck.
They're clunky and easy to drop. Plus, they're made of cheap materials, they come in limited colors, and I think we can all agree, they're pretty ugly.
We're lifelong skiers and know firsthand that people are constantly looking to upgrade their ski gear. But when it comes to innovation, ski poles have been, well, long forgotten.
That's why we started
Yardsale.
Yardsale ski poles blend clever design and great style for the everyday skier.
The best part about Yardsale poles? They're magnetic. We've hidden magnets in the handles and the baskets so that they stick together, making walking to and from the car or getting on and off the lift an even easier experience.
Skiers love how Yardsale poles are fully modular, so you can mix and match between the 5 eye-catching colors on our website to create your own custom pair. With Yardsale, we're not only making ski days easier and more fun, but we're creating a lifestyle brand for the millions of recreational skiers out there.
So, Sharks, who's ready to ditch your old poles in the snow and ride the chairlifts with Yardsale?
I love it.
We are back with another Shark Tank reaction video. I am Dave, 10-year intellectual property attorney, dealing with everything from copyrights, trademarks, trade secrets, as well as patents. Again, a big goal for me when I do these shows is just to try to bring you guys my unique perspective, being in patents, doing IP for 10 years and things that I pick up on, even though they may not come out and say it. And I'm saying all that to say that when she starts talking about modularity, magnets within the poles, and I hear that and I think patents. Now, it'll be interesting. I'm sure Lori will ask the magic question because she typically asks it on whether or not they have a patent on it. But again, I'm not sure. I actually want to go to Aspen this year to ski. So this is a perfect time that this comes out as we roll into the winter here in the U.S. But again, when I hear things like modularity and magnets within the poles, that's for me, that's stuff that I need as a patent attorney when I'm actually drafting a patent application to try to differentiate it from what's out there as it relates to a ski poles. And this is actually interesting because this whole customizable market, it's something that's growing, whether it's shoes, whether it's hats, whatever it is, to kind of be able to make something a lot more customizable. It seems like people kind of pick up on that. They don't want okay, you got one stick and it's one color, but what if I can, mismatch the different portions of the stick portion from, I guess, the handle portion, that type of stuff people actually want. And then even being able to kind of engrave your name or a slogan or whatever it is on it as well. So this whole customizable aspect is becoming popular in these different industries. And it seems like they have taken advantage of that in the actual ski industry. Again, it'll be interesting to see whether or not they are able to protect it with not only utility patent, but it'll be interesting if they have a design patent on it to kind of protect the ornamental feature of it to the extent that that's different from what's out there. Now, just keep in mind, when we kind of go through these pictures, there's 3 things that I look for. How simple is the product or the business? How effective is it? And what's the market look like? And to the extent that you have all 3 of those that are yes, 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 or affirmative, 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 you stand to make a ton of money as a business owner. So my initial thought, just hearing the pitch before we kind of really get off into it, I think it's pretty simple. Just a ski that, you're able to customize. So I do think it's simple. It's not complex with a ton of parts. And then the effectiveness of it, how effective is it? A lot of times you're going to get that by how many sales. If it has a ton of sales, Mr. Wonderful typically is the one that's asking about sales. To the extent that it has a ton of sales, then that lets you know that the product is effective. To the extent that it doesn't have a lot of sales, maybe not as effective, or maybe you're just a little early on. Then the last thing is the market. Is this a big market? I mean, obviously we know skiing is a big thing, especially as we kind of, like I said, roll around into the winter months. It is more of a seasonal thing, but I do think skiing is a big thing where you have a lot of people that love to ski. So I do think the market is there. I don't know of any, I guess for what it's worth, I don't know of any, customizable or modular kind of ski poles. But again, I'm not a skier, so I wouldn't know that. Let me know in the comment section if you are a skier. Is it stuff like this out there where you have poles that are modular, you can mix and match it, or have magnets in the handles that you can kind of connected? You have to let me know whether or not that's already out there. To the extent that that's not out there, you have a market that, okay, maybe it's a seasonal market, but it is, I think, it's still a pretty big market. To the extent that you're introducing something different within a market, I do think you can really take advantage of that as well, and they can have a lot of success as well. So again, how simple is it? How effective is it? And what's the market like? Definitely keep that in mind as we're going through these pitches, because that's something that, like I said, if all three of them are check, then they stand to make a ton of money. But even to the extent that you don't kind of check the boxes for each one of those, that doesn't mean that you're not going to make money. You probably don't make 10, 20, $50 million, tens of millions of dollars, but you can still make a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million on your product. So that's something that I do like to take a look at. I guess the last thing before we get back into the video, please hit the like button. And to the extent that you're not a part of the IP community, I would love to have you here, bringing you guys these Shark Tank videos from an IP attorney's perspective, but also just current events and interviews, different things that we're doing on the channel as it relates to intellectual property. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's get back to this one and see what the shark's talking about. Let's go.
I just got to ask. I got to ask why
sample. Yes.
why the name Yardsale?
Okay.
Haven't you ever had a yard sale on the mountain?
So yeah, Kendra.
Are you like what? Are
actually,
you
no,
a
Kendra,
black
I don't know
diamond
what that
skier?
is.
You don't know what
No.
a yard sale is?
No.
It's when you lose everything. Your skis
Oh.
come off, your poles come off. It's like they call it,
Oh.
like, you know, like a yard sale, like a garage
So,
sale.
like, does everybody
Everything,
that
your hat.
skis know that? Because
It's kind of an insider term. Kendra
Yes.
clearly is a skier in the room.
And clearly, I've had a lot of yard sales.
And it actually goes a bit back to the origin stories of how we actually came up with the idea. Christina had a infamous epic yard sale or wipeout, and that's where she came up with the idea.
I had a bad yard sale. It got me thinking about my greatest frustration with the product, which for me is when you're carrying them,
Yes.
they're always crossing over, they're falling down. And so I thought, why has nobody put magnets on ski poles?
And are you the only one doing this?
Yes.
We
yeah.
are.
I started tinkering with my old poles and I basically taped some magnets to the handles of these. I walked around the corner to Kelly's house because he lives very close by to me. And I asked him what he thought.
No one has ever in decades rethought the humble ski pole, yet every skier needs them to ski.
what are your backgrounds?
I've always been passionate about design, and so I was very fortunate to follow that pursuit to MIT, where I studied mechanical engineering and product design. Afterwards, I worked at Apple as a product designer across various teams, and as an avid skier, I was ready to jump into a consumer product.
So are you guys full-time in this?
We
We
are.
are, yeah. So my background's more on the marketing side of things. After college, I worked for a hardware tech startup in marketing, and then I transitioned to the venture capital side, where I was the head of content and PR for a VC firm in San Francisco.
One of the most important things to note as well is that over 60% of our customers online customize their poles, which means that we have a huge
So
adoption
you're not
rate.
doing any retail, right?
So we are in a few specialty stores.
So what's your price compared to a regular pole?
Absolutely. So we just launched 6 months ago, and we make the product for about $30. We landed it for $42, and we sell it for $139. It's 75% margin.
What are like the average poles out
Great
there?
question. We're in the upper middle range in the market. So on
Okay.
the lower end, you have about $50, $60 poles, which are just cheap aluminum ones. But on the upper end, you have really advanced poles. But we sit really in the middle, and there's other poles that are, in our range, but no one that offers features like we do.
What have you sold so far?
Great question. Yep. In the first month, right before the holidays this past year, we did $100,000 in sales in our
Good for
first
you.
month.
Wow,
Right.
good
So we are
job.
fiscal year to date 200.
Look at that. That's huge. $100,000 worth of sales in the first month of being in business. There's a couple things why I stopped the video. I'm not going to try to stop these too much, but I do have to stop it for obvious reasons as it relates to copyright. But I do want to kind of provide some type of commentary on it. So this is be the last time I stop it until the end, where we kind of go through the website and things like that. I was actually, and I forgot to mention earlier, I was interested in the term yard sale. Clearly, I'm not a skier, but I mean, it's cool that they were able to explain the term yard sale and why they chose that as the name, which I think is pretty cool. Another thing that I thought was interesting, I love the way that Shark Tank is actually getting guest sharks that are a little bit more well-versed in the area that these pitches are in. So, for example, last week we had Todd, and the CEO founder of Raising Cane's, a chicken company, the restaurant, and there was a lot of pitches that were directed towards restaurants and kind of fast food chains. So he was able to provide his expertise this week. It seems like we have a skier, which is great because the first pitch was essentially a ski pole company. So that's cool. And then, like I said before, to the extent that you're not including or not is something in the market that's it's not being kind of sought for, I guess, as it relates to ski poles and the whole customizable aspect of it, the whole modular aspect of it. It's great that they have found a customer base and kind of provided for that. Now, it'd be interesting because I definitely wouldn't want the fact that this thing is modular. Again, I'm not sure if these poles are modular. Typically, definitely wouldn't want these things to come apart as I'm going down a ski slope, but I would imagine that they have provided for that, and that's not the case. And then the last thing I would say before getting back to the video is, and I said this last year when I was doing these breakdowns, but typically investors like to see you either have a 1 person company or like an odd number of company. Typically they don't want these two person companies to the extent that, okay, if a decision needs to be made and both person is on the opposite side or both people are on the opposite side of the fence, then it's like, who's going to make the decision? They do like it. It seems like as it relates to husband and wife, because it seems like even though it's two people, hey, we're all one. That's the whole thing of being married and becoming one. But in all seriousness, then the one person team or the 3-person team or some type of odd number of teams where, okay, a decision can be made to the extent that it needs to be made is what investors, from my understanding, from talking to a ton of people, from talking to a ton of investors, like to typically see. However, I will say with these 2-people teams, one of the things I do love, and I have clients that are is an owner, 2 co-founders, or essentially 2 people who have founded the company. And one of the things I love to see is the balance there. So you see him, he's a killer, MIT, ME, shout out to mechanical engineers, that's my background. And she is on the marketing and kind of the advertising side. And I have clients who, again, although they're 2-person teams, which is not necessarily looked favorably upon, the fact that they kind of complement each other seems to also work well, where you have one person who's more of a designer, the engineer, the more technical person, then the other person is more marketing and advertising. And I think kind of it provides for a great team working well together. So I do want to point that out, because that's something, even though it's a 2-person team, the fact that their skills complement each other, I think bodes well for them long term. And obviously, again, $100,000, a fairly new company, but the fact that they sold $100,000 worth of equipment the first month, it seems like the margins are pretty good. That's good stuff. So let me get back to it, and then I'll kind of stop it one more time at the end, kind of get my thoughts, pull up the website, and we'll go from there. So let's go.
$20,000 in sales.
220.
Yes, and we are forecasting to end the year, which for us ends in September, at $300,000.
Okay.
Next year, we're forecasting $2.1 million.
Where and how did you sell them?
Yeah, so we launched D2C only. We'll be expanding into retail next winter.
With who?
What was really exciting is in our first 30 days, we had REI reach out to us, backcountry, decathlon in Europe.
When I get new poles, I'm in the boots in the store, and we're sizing, and we're trying to figure out the pose, right?
Totally.
So what happens to you?
Those are a little long
Do you
for
need multiple different sizes of this in inventory?
They come in 5 sizes, but
so that's an inventory nightmare, right?
Ah, well, we got an answer for you, Mr. Wonderful.
Okay.
What you can actually see in our kids poles, which are on the far left here, is that they're adjustable, and we'll have adjustable poles for adults next year as well.
Wait, you mean so they'll continue to slide?
Yeah, so
They'll
actually,
grow.
as kids grow,
That is
they'll grow with the poles.
amazing. I
Yeah,
have
exactly.
kids from ages 10 to 22, by the way. I don't see that out there.
Let me just tell you how I feel. So, first of all, I don't really love the name. I think it has a bit of a negative connotation and an incorrect connotation for a premium quality, brand new item that's innovative. Yard sale just feels like it's a disaster, and it's when the worst thing happens. And then I'm not a skier and have to feel passionate about the product, love the people, but don't feel it here. So I'm sorry, I'm out.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Lori.
you, Lori.
Yeah.
I love the name. So when I saw the FUBU, they were like, what is a FUBU? Is it Italian? Is it Japanese? Is it number 3 on the poo-poo platter? What is it? And that exactly became a conversation that stood out from everybody. You know how many times people come up here, their name is too close to something else, and then they spend a lot of money and they lose it.
I will say it is one of the biggest reasons skiers have paid attention to our brand.
I agree. I'm part of the snowboarder community, and we hate you guys. So I don't know. I just don't like skiing. This is just not for me. So I wish you all the best. Great innovation. I'm out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Damon.
I've never skied once in my entire life,
Sure.
and I have no intention of starting. So for those reasons, I'm out.
I love this. I love the name. This is really great. It's catchy, but you're early. This is 6 months in. You're putting really a $2 million valuation on a business with what you're asking.
And we realized there's a high risk behind that. And so actually one of the things that we did was we are obviously asking for $200,000 for 10%, but we do have a lot of profit margin in our product. And so therefore we do actually have a bit of a secondary offer in our back pocket, which Mr.
Are you about to say royalty?
Mr. Wonderful, we'd love to talk to you about.
Let's hear it.
So if you're willing, we'd love to make you an offer of $200,000 for 5%. With a $3 royalty until you recoup your initial investment of $200,000.
That's the first time a company has ever offered to Kevin a royalty.
Offered a royalty.
We ain't
I'll tell
afraid
you,
of a
look,
royalty.
That's a first.
I would prefer to model it this way.
Uh-oh.
I'll do the 200,000 for 20%, and I'll take my chances on distributions. I want a distribution when you distribute to yourselves, but I want to wet my beak on this one. I want 20%.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. We'd love to talk about what Kevin would have to do to roll up his sleeves and really help us.
Well, I don't want a job, okay?
You know, you just said you need somebody who's going to roll your sleeves up. Honey, I've done it. I get retail, I get omni-channel. I think you have a great direct-to-consumer, but wholesale is where you can really build this business.
Absolutely.
That's how I started Kendra Scott. I'm going to do 20% as well. Plus, I want the $3 back until I recoup my 200K, okay?
Thank you.
All right. The difference here is I really do think I can help you with this wholesale strategy.
I'll drop my ass to 15%, but I'll take the $3 royalty till I get back 400,000. So it's just a 2x.
Would you be interested in doing $200,000 for 8%? We'll drop that equity down, but we'll increase your royalty to $5 a unit until you recoup $300,000.
I'll do it at 10%. I want the royalty, but I want a 2x on it, right?
That's just going to put us in a really tight position in the future. Actually, we think at $5 a unit, we can actually get you your 300K back if you we'll take that offer within under
not,
2 years.
Getting my money back is not why I do deals. I want to get a multiple on it.
Kendra, would you be interested in that sort of a royalty offer, which is $200,000 for 8% with a $5 a unit royalty until you recoup $300,000 back?
You know what? I actually really like that. I like that. I do like it. Can we do 10% and you have yourself a deal?
If you'll drop to 250 on the royalty payback, you got yourself a deal.
300.
Oh my God, $50,000.
Will you up the cash?
Come on.
Well, you
guys,
up the upfront cash to $250,000 at 10% with a $5 royalty until you recoup $300,000 back.
Done.
Yes.
Let's go. I'm going to come over here. I'm skiing over.
Hey, kudos to them. Kudos to them. They have a deal. Hey, it must be nice to be a billionaire where you could just throw around, hey, man, $50,000. Come on, let's lock the deal up. But again, kudos to them. I love the fact that it seems like they have something on their hands. Mr. Wonderful, they had 2 offers. It seems like the one offer was better, but it seemed like they had enough margins to the point where they can offer a royalty, which, as the Shark said, that's different from the actual pitcher offering a royalty to the Sharks. But again, they definitely got the job done. I do want to say, and we'll take a look at the website here really quickly before I get you guys up out of here, that, man, sometimes your name have to be catchy. And again, this is why I like kind of doing these, kind of give you my thoughts on them. Number one, to the extent that you have a name, you need to be protecting it via trademark. And I did look up their name, Yardsale, and they have filed a trademark application to it. So it's not registered yet or hasn't been issued yet. However, they do have a trademark application pending before the United States Patent and Trademark Office on the actual the actual name Yardsale, which I think is a pretty cool thing. You have to protect these things. And then the other thing as it relates to the name, the fact that two people may differ. I mean, I think that's okay. It seems like Damon John loved it. Obviously, he have experience with FUBU. Seems like Lori didn't necessarily like the name, but it seems like she maybe didn't understand it. And as the pitcher said, hey, man, I think the name kind of brings in a lot of people from the ski community to ask, hey, what's this all about? I think of the term liquid depth. Man, it's water essentially, but how many people would be interested in the product if the name just didn't captivate them or kind of bring attention to it? In yard sales, especially within the ski community, they know what that means. It means something. And I don't know. I love the fact that they, number one, did a creative name that kind of stands out, so to speak. But then number two, they're protecting, and more importantly, that the fact that they're protecting their name by filing a trademark application. And the great thing about it is they're going to come out with different names and different slogans and different phrases that they can also protect as time goes on. So again, love the fact that they're protecting it. I would like to see them use it with the TM to let people know that they're using it in a trademark sense. But again, love that fact. And then another thing that I do like is I like the fact that, again, they're coming out with new product, adjustable poles. It seems like Kendra, who's in that community, hasn't seen anything or not familiar with it. And again, you would think that, I look at this thing like, man, skiing has been around forever. And there's no adjustable pole. There's no poles with magnets in them to keep them connected. It's no like modular poles. You would think that, man, skiing has been around forever. This would be something that has already been invented, but clearly not. So they do have an innovative product. I would bet my bottom dollar that they do have a patent on their product. It just didn't come up. We'll take a look at the website to see if they have that patent listed on there. But again, it seems like, man, everything is looking up all intents and purposes with the company. I'll definitely try to look to get these people want to kind of tell their story. That's crazy to do $100,000 in the first month of business. Seems like they definitely have a good team going on, or a good combination. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. You guys have to let me know what you guys think in the comment section here. But here you go. So you have the yard sale. I'm not sure what P2, P1, P2, and P mini is. Love the fact that they have kids, something for kids, and then kind of different sizes for adults. And they're coming out with new products, which I bet you they have a patent on. Typically, your patent is going to be listed at the bottom. I don't see anything as it relates to a patent. I would love to see that. And again, they talked about, some stuff being done in Europe. You also have to file for patent protection in Europe if you want it protected there, or wherever you're maybe even manufacturing it. Just because you get a patent here in the U.S., that does not necessarily mean that, or it doesn't mean that you are protected in other countries. You have to file for patent protection in those countries. Let me just click on see if I can do. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about patents on there, but just look at that. That's the good thing about kind of being me and kind of doing this thing for a while. I've heard enough in that pitch when you're talking about innovation, when you're talking about customizable, when you're talking about modularity, magnets, adjustable, and especially if it's not done already, which Kendra seemed to second that. I know that they have a patent on this thing, at the very least a design patent, which I think is a lot cheaper. It's going to protect you well, but I would also get a utility patent to the extent that they can have to bring further protection for you here, at least here in the U.S., where you're selling these things. So what do you guys think about that? I think the product is definitely simple. Seems to be effective, $100,000 in the first month. Seems like they're planning on doing, $2-3 million next year. And obviously the market is there. So what do you guys think? I think this one, it has a chance to do something. They got a deal, so kudos for them. I'll try to get them on the podcast here to do an interview and really go through their story and see how they really stumbled on it and kind of peel back those layers. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please hit a like button if you like this video, as well as subscribe if you are not subscribed to Everything Intellectual Property, the YouTube channel, as well as the podcast. We'd love to have you a part of the IP community talking about intellectual property. And again, I'm bringing it to you from a 10-year IP attorney who dealt with everything from patents, trademarks, copyrights, as well as trade secrets. And hopefully you guys can learn some stuff that you probably wouldn't have already known. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to this reaction video. Until next time, peace.